coming up tonight on Primetime Local News. Two Taylor Swift fans from Lloydminster plan to make the trip to Vancouver. And we have more on the Christmas Craft Fair and Chamber Expo, plus our weekly edition of What's Happening.
Primetime Local News, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
The annual Lloydminster Christmas Craft Fair and Chamber Expo got started today at the Lloyd X. Our Jackson Fontaine has more on the show.
People from around Lloydminster and surrounding area headed over to the Lloydminster exhibition this morning to experience the Christmas Craft Fair. This is the 36th year the show has been going on and has a number of unique Christmas items for shoppers.
So at Mama Bear Decor's booth, we have all kinds of home decor. It's mostly wood-based. We do laser engraving, stenciling. We also do furniture and things like that.
The sale features over 400 booths with everything from Christmas ornaments to jewelry as well. It also sees over 15,000 people attending it each year. The show is definitely a big hit for Lloydminster, which is why so many people enjoy going.
I love coming here because I absolutely love to meet wonderful people. I get the opportunity to make new acquaintances. And just the people itself, the atmosphere is unbelievable. I really enjoy coming here.
It's always just a great show for us. It's very family friendly. We bring my 3-year-old daughter with us, so it's always just a great weekend for us.
The Christmas craft sale will continue throughout the weekend. Jackson Fontaine, Primetime, Local News.
Swift Mania is in full force as the Eras Tour has finally reached Canada. Our Lane Hoffert has more on a lucky local family of Swifties who get to see Taylor in the flesh.
The Kachuk family in Lloydminster's wildest dreams have come true after they managed to score tickets to the final show of Taylor Swift's Eras Tour in Vancouver on December 8th. Alicia Kachuk says she and her husband put their name into every contest they could until they hit the Swiftie jackpot.
We entered a bunch of the contests to get the pre-sale code, and my husband happened to get it, and it was for the Vancouver show, and we jumped on the website when they went on sale and got lucky and grabbed our tickets, and we were pretty thrilled, and we feel pretty fortunate to be able to go.
While Alicia was excited to get tickets to the Eras Tour, her daughters Abigail and Juliet were over the moon when they found out they were going to see Taylor Swift's very last show on the tour.
I was super excited because I've always dreamed of seeing my favorite music artist in tour, and when I realized my mom had scored tickets, I feel like my life couldn't be more complete. I'm really excited to see her, and I feel like she has something really big planned. I can't wait.
I was super excited. Like, if it was on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd break the scale. I'm super excited.
One tradition from the Eras Tour that the Kachuk family is excited to be part of is the making and trading of friendship bracelets with other Swifties. The girls are headed to the concert with an armful of bracelets.
So friendship bracelets are a tradition at the Eras Tour where a bunch of Swifties make the bracelets with lyrics, either with lyrics or song names. So I have a couple lyrics and a couple song name ones. But usually when you go, you trade them with other girls and boys there, and you try to get different ones from other people, and then you trade yours for theirs.
I made 26 so I can have 13 on each arm because 13 is Taylor Swift's lucky number. And you just trade them around like the stadium to get different ones, and hopefully you get more.
The Eras Tour is a celebration of Taylor Swift's entire catalog, with her playing songs from her self-titled debut album all the way up to her most recent album, The Tortured Poets Department. The Kachuk family all has their own favorite albums and songs they want to hear at the concert.
I love a lot of her stuff. Probably my favorite album is her 1989, and All Too Well is probably my favorite song. It's my go-to.
I really love her Reputation album, but my favorite song is probably Exile from her Folklore album.
I love her Tortured Poets Department, and I have a lot of favorite songs, but if I had to choose one, I would probably do But Daddy I Love Him from her Tortured Poets Department.
Lane Hoffert, Primetime Local News.
The annual Christmas Craft Fair is on all weekend, and Cookies and Carols is planned for Saturday at the Gold Horse Casino. Heather Klages has more in this week's edition of What's Happening.
If your home is in need of some Christmas decor, if you're ready to get into the Christmas spirit, the place to do it is the Lloydminster Christmas Craft Fair and Chamber Expo. It's underway at the Lloydex. It's going to continue tomorrow and Sunday. And when you head out to this amazing show, there are hundreds of different booths that are here. And there's an opportunity for you to look at some homemade items, unique gifts, Christmas ornaments, toys, games, clothing, home decor, and so much more. Plus, they're going to have a food court here as well, just full of delicious food. So get into the Christmas spirit this weekend at the Lloydminster Christmas Craft Fair and Chamber Expo. It's underway at the Lloydex. It's going to continue tomorrow and Sunday as well. Coming up tomorrow, it's Cookies and Carols at the Gold Horse Casino. You can drop in anytime tomorrow afternoon between 1 and 3. It's an opportunity to take a look at the beautiful trees that are going to be auctioned off at the upcoming Festival of Trees. Plus, you can visit with Santa, you can enjoy a cookie, and hear some great live music, some Christmas music. A number of performers will be there, including the Grace United Bell Choir. Admission, it's by donation, and it will go to projects at Weaver Heritage Park. For more details, you can head online to friendsofweaverpark.ca. And coming up tomorrow night, Jimmy the Janitor is live in Paradise Hill. Get your ticket now for a night of great laughter, great stories, and just a fun night out. Plus, when you get your ticket, it includes the hilarious show from Jimmy the Janitor and an appetizer bar as well. There's still a few tickets available. Head online right now, eventbrite.ca. Well, whatever you choose to do this weekend, we hope you stay safe and stay healthy.
What's Happening is brought to you by Northern Factory Workwear, Circle Drive East, Saskatoon, and Highway 17 South, Lloydminster.
Lloyd weather has been classified as snowy.
Oh, you could say that for sure. Yeah, you step outside and the snow's coming down now a little bit here in Lloyd. I guess it's kind of what we can expect.
It is November.
The middle of November.
Yeah,
we've been pretty lucky.
Middle November as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting close to December here, and we've really managed to avoid snow for the good first half of November. Yeah. So the second half, it's looking to be picking up here on the snow a little more. -1 in Lloyd. You can see those clouds are out, and that wind will make it feel. The wind isn't blowing too strong, but it will make it feel like -3. It'll take it down 2 degrees there, 6 kilometers an hour blowing south. Now throughout the region, you can see everybody's kind of hovering around that same sort of territory, the -1s and the 0s and the +1s a little bit. You can see Lac La Biche, St. Paul, Marwayne, Vegreville, and Edmonton all at 0, as well as Provost. Vermilion, Cold Lake, and Bonnyville all the same as Lloyd there, -1. And Wainwright, +1, the warmest in that central Alberta region. Looking in Saskatchewan, Isle La Crosse, Green Lake, Meadow Lake, and St. Walburg all at -2. Pierceland, Maidstone, and North Battleford all at -1, and Macklin sitting at 0. So a little bit cooler in Saskatchewan by 1 degree. I'm sure that makes a big difference there. In North Battleford, it's -2. We got those low clouds and 9-kilometer-an-hour winds. So just slightly windier and slightly cooler and slightly cloudier as well in North Battleford as in Lloyd. Tomorrow in North Battleford, it's going to be the same. It's going to be +2 instead of -2, though. Those low clouds will still persist and the wind will pick up. It'll be 13 kilometers an hour. For those that just saw my Taylor Swift, they know that's her lucky number there. And tonight in Cold Lake, it'll be -5, those low clouds breaking, and 9-kilometer-an-hour winds. So less windy in Cold Lake, but cooler nonetheless. And tomorrow in Cold Lake, it's going to get up to +1. It'll be mainly cloudy, and that 15-kilometer-an-hour wind will be blowing. So maybe you want to have your bunny hug on, wear a jacket if you're in Cold Lake tomorrow. Tonight in Lloydminster, it's going to get down to -3. We'll see low clouds. The wind is going to pick up a little bit to 11 kilometers an hour. So still not overly crazy winds, but you will be feeling a breeze here tonight in the border city. Tomorrow in Lloyd, It's going to be sticking around those negative temperatures throughout the day. 6 a.m. it will be cloudy and -2. Then at noon it's going to go up to -1 and cloudy once again. And then at 6 p.m. it'll drop down to -3, still cloudy. And at midnight it will drop down to -4. Now taking a look at your 3-day forecast. Tomorrow will be low clouds with a high of 0. It's going to get down to -5. Sunday will be a sun day. They're mostly sunny with a high of 3 and a low of -4. And Monday will be mostly cloudy and cooler, getting down to -1 and a low of -9. We'll have more news after the break.
Was an up and down year for crop producers in Saskatchewan. And with the snow and frost here in November, we now have the final crop report of the year. With more, here's our Thomas Wildman.
Today I'm joined by the Crops Extension Specialist of the Government of Saskatchewan, Tice Masish. He's here today to give us the final crop report of the 2024 growing season. And thank you so much for joining me today, Tice.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Thomas. It's good to be here.
So last time I did a crop report, Tice, we were just before the Saskatchewan election in October there, and most crop producers were finished harvesting. We're now into November, and so are all crop producers finished as of now for the final crop report?
The final crop report came out at the end of October, and at that point, our volunteer crop reporters reported that harvest was 100% complete at that time. So there would have been like the few unharvested acres, but for the most part, all crops were off at that point. And now that it's been three going on 4 weeks since then, we all the crops in Saskatchewan should be off, just given the warm weather we've had the last few weeks.
And what are the overall yields looking like for Saskatchewan this year?
Yeah, crop yields were definitely an interesting story this year. So early in the growing season, we had a lot of wet conditions, which was kind of unexpected for the spring. So that left producers pretty optimistic with yields going into the fall. But then when July hit, there was very little rainfall and it was very hot, so that killed yield potential, especially for some of those later seeded crops like canola and mustard. So yields were a little disappointing overall for producers, just given the expectations they had earlier in the growing season from the moisture that they got. But overall, yeah, I would say it was an average year for most crops in Saskatchewan. Many of the crops like wheat, durum, peas, lentils, and quite a few others yielded slightly higher than our 5 and 10 year averages. And then crops like canola, oats, and barley, I believe, were slightly below those 10-year averages. But overall, it was an average year, and producers aren't really complaining too much about crop yields. And if you're looking for kind of like a regional breakdown, crop yields followed the same trend that they usually do in Saskatchewan. The lowest yields were seen in the southwest, where it was very hot and dry for much of the growing season. And then in the northeast, and east central Saskatchewan, they received more rainfall up there, which they typically do, which resulted in them having a little bit higher crop yields than the rest of the province.
And then let's focus on us here in Lloydminster and in the Northwest region. How did we look for the 2024 growing season?
Yields are pretty, again, they're pretty average with the provincial average for Saskatchewan, and they're very close to the 5 and 10 year averages. So overall, from what I've read, producers up there they're satisfied with their yields, but it definitely could have been better because, like most of the province, a week into July, the water just absolutely stopped coming. So it was crops really suffered from heat and drought stress during July and August.
And how are hay crops and pasture conditions for our livestock producers here in Saskatchewan?
When it came to like hay and forage crops, they actually did pretty well this year. They yielded a lot better than in 2023, because in 2023 it was dry pretty much the entire year, whereas the early season moisture really helped with those hay crops, since they're typically some of the first crops harvested. So producers reported anywhere from good to excellent hay yields when they in their first cut, and then some producers were able to get even a second cut and reported very good yields with those. And then they also reported pretty high quality hay as well. And since you're up in the northwest, the hay quality and yields up there were pretty strong from what producers were reporting, which is definitely a good sign. And producers are hoping that next year is going to be a similar situation to what we saw this year.
Finally, how important are these upcoming winter months as well as these early spring months coming up in 2025 for next year's growing season, especially after years upon years of less than ideal conditions?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Like you highlighted, we've had several years now in Saskatchewan where it's been very dry. And this year, again, we're off to a promising start with that early season moisture. And right now, that helped us to be where we're at right now as a province. We have some, or I guess topsoil moisture heading into the winter is around 50% adequate. It's probably a little lower now just with how dry it's been the last few weeks. But anyway, topsoil moisture going into this winter is a lot better than it was a year ago, which is at least producers a little more optimistic than they were last year. But still, it's going to be important that all areas of Saskatchewan get some lots of heavy snow this winter, and that next spring prior to seeding that they get a lot of rainfall to kind of restore some of the soil moisture reserves, because there's still a lot of soils out there that are lacking moisture and could use a top up.
Thank you so much for all the information today, Tice, and we look forward to talking to you again next year about the 2025 crop season.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, and I'll talk to you next year.
Now let's take a look at your agriculture prices for today. A special guest is prepping up for the Grey Cup this Sunday. That's tough enough. The horse rolled into the Holiday Inn in downtown Vancouver, accompanied by bagpipes. It's part of an annual tradition put on by Calgary's Grey Cup Committee. Vancouver is hosting the 111th Grey Cup Sunday when the Winnipeg Blue Bombers take on the Toronto Argonauts. The Jonas Brothers will be performing the halftime show. You can tune in to TSN and CTV to catch the game. Jail and Bail is the biggest fundraiser of the year for Border Paws Animal Shelter, and it's taking place in just a couple of weeks. Abby St. John has more on what to expect from this year's fundraiser.
Jail and Bail is Border Paws Animal Shelter's biggest fundraiser of the year, and it is coming up in just a couple of weeks on December 6th. And today I am happy to be joined by events coordinator Chelsea Reeves. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes, anytime.
Now, this event has been put on for years, even going way back to the old building. But for those who may not know, what is Jail and Bail?
So basically, we get our local VIPs, so different members of our community. We have Kyra back there. She's at my office assistant today. And basically with Jail and Bail, our local VIPs get locked up and to bail them out, essentially. It's a pretty fun way to get the community involved.
So, like I said, this has been going on for a few years. Is there anything different this year that people should expect to see or get involved with?
This year we want to have like contests and different games and stuff for the jailees to play while they're in there, and hopefully get some treat bags and everything as prizes this year as well.
And so, for those who may not know how Jail and Bail works, can you explain how the donating process works with the when somebody wants to donate through the jailees? How does that work, or how can they donate?
So basically with jail and bail, you can either come into the shelter and donate, or you can go onto like the website. We'll get all that information kind of going on closer to the time. And yeah, it all goes towards the animals at the shelter here.
And I know in years past there has been silent auctions and kind of extra prizes on the side. Is that still the case
Yeah.
this year? And if so, what kind of do you know any of kind of the prizes that you could kind of give a hint at to
Oh
what
yeah.
people can expect to see and even bid on?
Yes. So we'll keep it some of it as a surprise, but there is one very generous person that's our company that's donated, and it would definitely help keep you warm in the backyard, which
That
is really cool.
Yes, that sounds wonderful. And I know people are super excited for this fundraiser as it is your biggest one of the year. So that's super exciting. Now, just to clarify, finally, just to clarify the date and the time that it is going on and how long people can donate to Jail and Bail.
It's December 6th, and then it goes from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
And last year, there were extended periods of time for the silent auction items as well. Is that going to be the case for this year as well?
There's going to be, at least for the day for sure, we're still talking about getting all the details and everything finalized for it. Um, but as far as I know, it should be going on for a while.
Wonderful. And I'm sure we'll get more information from Pet Project as well as we head closer to the date. But this is a great way to kick off, getting people know that it's coming and it is happening again this year.
Mhm.
So thank you
We're
for.
very excited.
Yes, I am too. And I'm sure a lot of people who are participating are as well. So thank you for joining me. And I wish you the best of luck for this year. And like I
Thank
said, we'll
you.
continue talking about it on Pet Project. So definitely stay tuned for that.
It's now time to take a look at your adorable animals in our pet picks of the day.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to have them featured on Pet of the Day.
Saskatchewan author Arthur Slade has released a new book with a unique twist. As Stacey Comer found out, it's written from the viewpoint of a dragon.
We have a special guest joining us today on Primetime Local News. Art Slade is here. Art is an author, and we're going to be speaking about his latest book. Art, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm pleased to be here.
Well, let's talk about this. It looks like it's really unique. First of all, it's in a series called the Dragon Assassin series, and it's called Ibrax. But what I found unique is that it says it's from the point of the dragon. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, it's an almost an autobiography. Well, I guess I'd have to be a dragon for that to work, but it's a biography of the dragon. There's a series called Dragon Assassin, which is all told. And now there is an assassin who rides a dragon. I want to put the two most dangerous things together. And there's a whole series about how she meets the dragon and they go on all these adventures. There's 5 books. This book, Ibrax, is the first in a new series. And this time the dragon gets to tell the story. Last time she told the story and complained about how horrible he was, that sort of thing. Now he gets to complain about, well, basically everything.
Well, and this is something really that is unique, Art, because I don't recall very many books where you actually have a perspective from a dragon. So was it a bit challenging? Obviously, as you said, you're not a dragon. We don't know how dragons think. So how did you kind of get that all into perspective?
Part of it was that First, writing those other 5 books, he does speak up, right? And he's a very distinctive voice in that he's grumpy about everything. He's super intelligent. He loves to read, and he's also a little violent sometimes too. When I think about it, but anyway, and so in that sense, I kind of had his voice in my head, but I'd never had him actually. It's somebody speaking dialogue and speaking from inside their head is a different thing. And I was surprised how natural it felt for me to write it. And he is super, super snarky, and I can sometimes be snarky too. So I don't want you to, mix me up with the dragon, but I did have a lot of fun just kind of letting loose with his personality.
Now, without giving too much away and not any spoilers, can you tell us a little bit about the plot of the things? Is it a lot of fighting? Is there some romance, or what exactly can you give us without giving too much away?
Yeah, yeah. Well, so what happens is Carmen, his friend, who's the assassin who rides on his back. They're going to another land. They come across this scene where these people are being attacked by these horrible creatures, and he says, "Well, I'm too hungry to actually go and fight them." And she eventually cajoles him into fighting them. And once they get done the fight, he finds out that they were actually kind of these creatures who were related to this goddess, and she rises up and starts to challenge him. And being a snarky dragon, he doesn't take that nicely, except it's not good to get on the bad side of a goddess. And she is not yet back on the earth. So she has declared to him she's coming back and she's going to get him. And that's what the whole novel is about. What is she doing? Why is she in this world? And how do we stop her? So I guess the lesson, if there's a lesson, there aren't any lessons in my books. If there's a lesson, it is don't pick a fight with a goddess.
So is this going to be a series where you're going to continue from his perspective, then the dragon's perspective, or have you decided what you're going to do next yet, or is it something where these ideas just come to you randomly, or do you really plan out the next and next and next projects?
I'm a horrible planner. I'm really, really horrible. I fly by the seat of my pants when I'm writing, and I do have an intention. My plan is to write 2 more novels in this series. I will say when I wrote the Dragon Assassin series, I thought, oh, I'm only going to write 3, and I ended up writing 5. So clearly, my plans evolve as I go along. But there will be at least 3 in this series, just because I have so much fun with his voice, and I have fun with seeing how the audience reacts to him. And this really is, it's one of the curious things about this series, because when I wrote it, it's kind of for 10 and up, but I get letters from people who are 70, even as old as 80, which isn't that old these days, who are saying, I really love this character. So I think, well, I guess I'd like to say it's for a wide audience.
Well, if people are looking for more information about this book or the others that you've written, or just information about yourself, Art, what is the best place to find that?
Well, there's 2 places. You can go to arthurslade.com and you can find information about me and the books, but any bookstore should be able to order it if they don't already have it on their shelves.
Well, thank you so much, Art, for joining me today. This is sounds like it's going to be an incredible book, and like I said, just a different perspective. And it's nice too that it's an almost an all ages book, because I find that sometimes some of this genre comes out and it's a little heavy for younger kids to get into. So it's going to be. It sounds like it's very unique in that perspective as well. So good luck with everything that you're going to be writing in the future, and I hope that we can chat again sometime.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Coming up after the break, our Lane Hoffert will have another look at our evening weather forecast.
Hello and welcome back to your weather. You can see in Lloydminster the wind is calm. We still have that -1, but it now feels like -1 because of the calm winds. A little bit cloudier out and Lloydminster here, and 92% humidity. You can see around the region it's about the same, little warmer as we move out west there. Jasper 3 degrees, Edson 2, and Rocky Mountain House 2. Whitecourt 1, Athabasca and Edmonton both 0, and Red Deer and Cold Lake both the same as Lloyd, -1. Same with North Battleford in Saskatchewan, and Meadow Lake, Saskatoon, and Melfort all a bit cooler at -2, and Prince Albert is sitting at -3. Moving north, Uranium City and Stony Rapids are both sitting at -6. Wollaston Lake -5. South End Reindeer -4. La Loche and Buffalo Narrows both -3. And Flin Flon -1. Over in northern Alberta, -6 in High Level and Peace River. Fort Chipewyan is at -4 and Fort McMurray at -2. Both Slave Lake and Grand Prairie are at 1 degree. Moving down south, Coronation and Medicine Hat are both at -1. Lethbridge at -2. Calgary at 1 and Banff at +2. Moving over to Saskatchewan, Kindersley at 0, Yorkton at 1, Moose Jaw and Regina both at 2 degrees, Swift Current at 3, and Estevan, the warmest of the bunch, at +4. Tonight's forecast in North Battleford is going to get down to -2, low clouds with those 9-kilometer-an-hour winds, a little bit windier and a little bit cooler in North Battleford than here in Lloyd. Tonight in Cold Lake, it's going to be even cooler at -5, low clouds and 9-kilometer-an-hour winds with a 25% chance of precipitation. Tonight in Lloyd, it's going to get down to -3, low clouds, and the wind is going to pick up to 11 kilometers an hour and the 25% chance of precipitation as well here in Lloydminster. Taking a look at your travel forecast around the region, Meadow Lake and Provost are both at -3, low clouds in Meadow Lake and overcast in Provost, Bonnyville -5 and clearing, and Isla Cross and Paradise Hill both at -4 with low clouds. Now taking a look at some other temperatures throughout the region a little further away, Mirnam is sitting at -5 and clearing, Pierceland at -4 and low clouds, Wainwright also at -4, but those clouds a little more cloudy, if you will. Unity -3 with those low clouds, and Calgary -6, once again low clouds. So everywhere is kind of experiencing those lower clouds you can see just all around Alberta and Saskatchewan. Your 7-day forecast on Saturday, low clouds once again with a high of 0 and a low of -5. Sunday will be mostly sunny with a high of 3 and a low of -4. And Monday will be mostly cloudy and cooler with a high of -1 and a low of -9. You can see we have those negative temperatures throughout the week, but it does look like we're going to have sun on most of those days, except for Wednesday. Looks like it will be a decent week ahead, especially for November. That's kind of the best we can hope for at this point is those lower temperatures, but that sun will make it maybe feel a little nicer out.
No, for sure. And definitely decent weather for this weekend for sure. It might get pretty cold for the next week, but we have this weekend upcoming to hold our hat on. So
for sure, definitely.
That is all the time we have today for Primetime Local News. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great night.